Welcome back. Today I'm going to do a quick video on how to organize your tools in a toolbox, or this particular instance it's a bench top that's got two shelf drawers in it, and it's got a handle here you can raise it up for different heights. And what we did was we picked this stuff up from my father-in-law, and after we had his auction, a lot of the hand tools, things like that, went with the sale or went with the auction. And we just basically went out and picked up the necessities, things he's going to need. And what I want to do is organize them by cutting them out in the foam, as you see there. And I'll go through all that. And if you've seen any of my other videos and you know how I organize a lot of my tools where they're cut out in the foam, I'm going to show you how we do that today. So the very first thing that I want to do is get my foam layers cut for the specific size of these drawers. There's two drawers in here, top and a bottom. And what I need to do is measure the overall length and the depth on this drawer. Thickness right now doesn't matter because all of the tools that I have that we're going to be putting in these drawers do fit in here, with the exception of this tape measure. This tape measure is a little bit fatter, and how I've determined this is I've got my first layer, which is about 1/4 inch thick. And then my top layer that I do the cutouts in is 1/2 inch thick. And if you're wondering, I get this foam online through a company called thefoamfactory.com. I don't have a link to it or anything like that. You just got to go look it up. Again, it's thefoamfactory.com. And what I do is I've got a little scrap piece here of the 1/4 inch thick. And like I said, that's going to be my bottom layer. That's what all the tools sit on. And when I take something like a pair of aviation snips, set them on there. First thing you want to check is to make sure they're going to clear when the door closes. So when I say that this tape measure doesn't fit, I put it on there, and that belt clip hits on the drawer. It doesn't matter whether it's this drawer or the upper drawer. So that tells me that when I do this cutout, I need to drop it down, because look, it fits now, but it does not fit when it's on the top. So when I do this cutout in the upper 1/2 inch piece, I also have to cut it out of the lower piece too, to get it down to that lower clearance. Now I can do some things like maybe shave a tiny little piece, so when this is out, it's still got the black looking bottom and doesn't look odd, or I can take it out and just leave it as the white tray bottom, but we'll see how that turns out. Many of you guys say do these in different colors. Do the upper layer in one color and the lower layer in a bottom color. I honestly, yeah, that makes it look pretty and everything else, but when you pull these out, you can see where they go. You can see that there's a distinct cut out there. So if you want to make it pretty, see if you can find a different color. But I will say that this particular foam was the absolute cheapest of anywhere I could find it. And again, that was on the foamfactory.com website. So I didn't look for any other colors other than the black, and that's perfectly fine with me. You guys may want to search for a different color, but it starts getting pretty darn expensive to buy this stuff. And I bought a box of the 1/4 inch and a box of the 1/2 inch probably 4 or 5 years ago, before prices on everything went clear through the roof. So like I said, you can do it in whatever colors you like, whatever makes your toolbox look better. I just didn't feel the need at the time when I was doing these cutouts that I really needed to do it in a different color, because it works for me as it is. So let's go ahead and jump over to cutting these to fit the drawers, and that's the very first step in doing this. I wanted to show you real quick, if you don't cut these out just to be a little bit on the smaller size, what happens is they get pinched in here, or they're tight, and then when you get down, you can see how that's raised up out of there. So if I push that down, because of its natural compression in there, it wants to pop back up. And if you don't take and relieve some of that stress, if you will, when you start cutting your cutouts, it makes this top sheet even worse and weaker, and will let it pop even more. So I left this a little long here so I could show you how it's jammed into the front and the back, and it's caused that to raise up. So I'm going to go ahead and trim just about another 1/16 to even an 1/8 inch off. It just needs to fit without pushing it up, but you also don't want it so small that this thing, the top layer, would flop. Now you can see by just trimming that little bit out of there, there's no slide in there, it doesn't move, but now that's laying flat in there because it's not compressed from one side or the other. Those are laying nice and flat in there. And now the hardest part, picking which tools go in which drawer and where you want the layout. So my recommendation is you do this a couple times, and as you can see, this drawer is about 1 inch short of opening full length. Got to keep that in mind when you're laying your tools out. If you're going to put anything in there, you put it tucked up under there, and if say it's a regular screwdriver, a flat tip screwdriver or Phillips, more than likely, if you're using the tip of the tool as the indication of what it is, you don't want to tuck them in under there because then you can't tell which one it is. So my suggestion is you put it around the other way, and it's a quick visual as to which tool you're looking for in there. So just keep that in mind. Any drawer that doesn't pull out far enough, which tool would be tucked up under there. All right, got both drawers cut out for the main piece of foam. It's 2 layers, and I think you'll understand the purpose of what I do here, because when I cut the top foam layer out, that's where the outline or the shadow of the tool is, and then the bottom layer it gives the tool someplace to rest down in there. So it's black on black when you pull the insert cutout out. And the other thing it does is as you're poking the sharper knife down through there to cut out your tool pattern, it gives you something to poke into in the bottom layer as you cut these out. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. You could take this out, set it on another sacrificial piece of foam, and cut it out. But when you start taking this in and out so many times, it becomes a real pain in the butt. So I like to try and lay everything out and cut them out as they're sitting on the drawer to get my full look or layout, if you will, on how that's going to be in there. Got the top drawer laid out with all the tools that we're going to be putting in here. And I've got the next drawer down laid out for how I personally think that I would like to have them in my box. So we're going to go ahead, lay these out. Now there's room for expansion. There's room to add more tools. Same as if we were to add some tools up here. But I'm going to go ahead and show you the process of cutting these out. And it all starts with either a box cutter knife like this or a box cutter blade. And let me show you real quick what that is. And it's one of these blades here. Snap-off style blade. What I do is I cut the top real thick section down on that, and then as you can see, there's the snap-off segments on it, just as there are on that particular one as well. What I do is I take and I grind down the top of it, so that allows me to take and turn a real nice tight corner on that. Same with this, lets me turn a tight corner so when I come down and start tracing around there. Now, there's a lot of videos out there, and a lot of people that take a marking pen and they go through and they mark all this out. One thing I absolutely hate about that is, first off, it has to be either a color that you can see once you pick the tool up so you can visually see the line. And the other thing is when you go in then and start cutting that line out, sometimes you cut it on the inside or the outside and you see traces of that marker, whether it's a black marker or a white marker or whatever. I have just never liked using a pen, tracing them and then lifting them. So what I do is I leave them right in their spot, and I just take this real thin knife, go in and cut, and as if I was tracing with a pen. And it actually eliminates that whole step of tracing it, then going back and cutting it. And when I pull that foam out, if I need to raise that up, then I cut that half section of a 1/2 inch off to keep these tools up so they're nice and close. I don't like the finger slots. I think it makes it look junky, if you will. I would prefer to just press down on a tool, have it pop up, and it's easy to pull out. Push down, tip up, lift out. Here's another foam cutout drawer that some of you as new subscribers may not have ever seen. But again, all these ratchets are down low enough. I can still grab them or I can push. It all depends on what the ratchet is. Pull it out. You can see where I've cut down into that 1/4 inch slot to let all the heads of those fit in there. And then all of these, I have the heads of the 1/2 inch drive standing forward or standing up. Because the foam on the bottom, and I did have that one cut out, but the foam on the bottom left those heads standing up, not captured good enough. So I just flip it over, and that's how I store all these. And again, it has to clear underneath your drawer as you shut it and open it. So let's just give you another idea. There's no finger slots in any of the ratchets on these. Take and press down nice and tight and just go straight down, plunge in, and follow the contour. Get a little pick or something. And if any places it didn't cut very well, I can just go back and lightly trim. And there's my cutout. And one thing, because the screwdriver is heavier or thicker at this end than this end, I always save this. And what I do is I cut half of that out so the front of this blade has something to rest onto. So when I put it in there now, it drops the blade way down in the front. I like to keep them up right flush with the top of the plate here so it looks right. So what I'll do is take this piece and I'll cut it in half down the middle, and I'll cut the head end, the screwdriver portion of it off. So let me cut that off. I don't need the handle anymore because I don't need to rebuild any thickness there. And then with this, I just section it right down through the middle. And when I have that screwdriver portion sectioned, then I stuff this back in. And now it's a multi-level, so it's deeper here than it is in the screwdriver shaft portion. And now that lays down in there perfectly where the front tip of the screwdriver doesn't drop in real deep. Now you can slam that all you want. That screwdriver will not slide around in your toolbox. And when you take it out, very easily seen that it's not been put away or you left it somewhere. Again, yes, you can do the multicolor, but where I just showed you how I cut this out and reused that to build this half of the tool back up, if you did it in multicolor, you would only have the base bottom color here and then the other color here, and it would match. So you wouldn't have the full cut out of that. You'd have to go somewhere and cut other pieces out of the same bottom layer as you would up top. So that's another one of those reasons why I do not use multicolor, because when I do this, where I add that second layer, half of that second layer back in, it doesn't look odd where it would have, let's say the top layer was red, and the bottom layer was black. Well, if I cut this out, I would have black, black, and just red at the handle area. So that's why I do that. To me, the visualization of that is acceptable versus having multicolor layers and making it look really pretty. That's really pretty isn't functional to me. It just needs to be in there and done correctly. Well, you saw how simple that was. That didn't take me more than about 40 minutes, if that, to do all those, cut them all out. And as you can see, everyone's cut out, and then there's the little insert that I put back in from the cutout piece. I'd like to explain why I do that also. Not only does it bring that tool up just enough to get a good grip on it to pull them out, but it also, when you have a big tail like this hanging down, if you don't put something back in there, that tends to pull, move, and twist around. So with that extra piece of foam in there, or putting back in there, it captures the centerpiece that was cut out. And we get it tucked back in here. And now that centerpiece doesn't move around at all. So there's two good reasons for doing that. One, it raises the foam back up to where you want it, but it also holds that piece. If you were just to get a thinner top layer, let's say 3/8 or a 1/4 inch thick top layer of foam, you still would have to do something to hold that from wobbling back and forth. So that's why I like the 1/2 inch thick, because for most tools, they're right around a 1/2 inch to 9/16 maybe. But then when you put that little piece back in, the half cut of that, or whatever thickness you decide, then it kind of holds the tails of all these other tools that when you cut them out. Like this one here, it's back in, holds that, and it puts it at a good height. So there's a lot of different ways they show on the internet how to do that. I do it this way because I've done so many toolboxes that I found this seems to work out the best. And then the biggest thing, like I said earlier, is just to make sure that your clearance of all your tools is lower than the drawer where it would hit. And then we're going to switch over to some of these other tools. He keeps, like I said, the leaf blower, small little hedge trimmer, battery chargers, and things like that. I'm going to see if I can't come up with a way to get them on this bench also. So he has a place for everything, and he'll always put it back, and he'll know when it's not there. I know I've also been questioned about, what if one of these breaks? Well, if one of them breaks and you can't find the exact replacement, what you can do is you go in here and you cut the square out. You replace that square with a piece of 1/2 inch foam, press it back in the same exact shape. Then you take your new tool, you place it back over the replacement square, and you do the same thing. You cut it back out. The only difference is you'll have a little bit of a witness line here where you had to recreate a new patch for that. Is it the ultimate? No, but it is a way to be able to replace tools if you can't replace them with the same piece or whatever. So there is a way to get around that. It just doesn't look as clean as when you do a fresh brand new cut on a drawer. I got all the foam cutouts done. Everything all cut out. Now I can slam the drawer as hard as I want, shake it around, and nothing moves around. That's one of the big benefits, as well as there's a place for everything. Hammers, all that. Doesn't move, you know when it's lost, and it's actually very, very simple to do. Just takes a sharp razor knife. All right, I think I've got this pretty much done. This toolbox, talked about it with Autumn, and we both decided that this is pretty heavy, and if I was to make some kind of storage area down here, he would have to bend over pretty far, lift that up, and that could be pretty bad on his back. I don't know, but this thing weighs 35 or 40 pounds. But I think because where this is going to go in the garage, there will be a refrigerator right along this side. So this end will be butt up against the garage refrigerator. So we will just put this right here to where it leans up against the refrigerator. Should he need it, spin it around, lay it down and open up. But something else I wanted to show you that I did with this cart to make it actually kind of neat. And that is, like I showed you earlier, he's got the leaf blower and his little steel hedge trimmers. And what I did was made a spot for the hedge trimmer to go in. And I also made a spot for the extra battery. So now, when he's using this thing, he can pull it out, go use it. When he puts it back, it goes into that spot, and this will go in here. That should work out pretty good. That way he shouldn't misplace a battery or anything like that. The other thing I did is the battery on the blower here, here's the charger for it. And this charger just slides on. It's nothing special. There's no hooks, nothing. You can't hook it up like you do that. It doesn't have the half a bone hook on it. So I just put a real strong rare earth magnet on that. So when he's not using it, magnet to the side of the metal there. And if this battery needs charged, pull it out, set it up here. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. It just slides on and it starts charging. So that might bring you to the next question. Where am I getting the power at? Well, over at Harbor Freight, they have these pretty cool power strips. They're on magnets. And it's just magnetized to the side of the inside of that box. There's the charger plug for the blower. This one is the charger plug for the hedge trimmer. And then the other thing that's kind of neat is they've got USB ports in them. Right back here is a USB, and I've got that fed up through here. And what that little charger does is for this flashlight. Plugs in right here, so when it needs charge, you can stand it up there, pull that out, plug it in, and I've got a little cable strap here. When he's done, just pull it down, and it sets right there like that, ready to go for the next time. Something's missing. Well, we know it's the flashlight. So I think I am going to package this up and take it down to his house and present it to him and show him how it works, how to use, and how convenient having cutouts for tools are. Whoa! So you got a workbench with some toolbox drawers in it. You know how these were always just laying around?
Yes.
So come over here and I'll show you what it did. So I made a spot over on this side to put this, and then your spare battery goes in there. So when you're done using this, you have a place to put it. You see that screw hole hook? There's a big bolt right there, just hanging on that big bolt.
That's pretty neat.
Stand over here and tell me what height seems comfortable for you.
That's about it.
About there?
Yep.
All right.
You've been a
The
busy
metal.
boy.
That way you'll never misplace it or won't ever get lost. Same with this. If it's charging, you're up here. When it's done charging, put it back into the tool. Now this toolbox, I figured we would leave it right up tight here, like that, because it's heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So this now, all your other tools you had scattered throughout your toolboxes. So now you've got wrenches and all the sockets and ratchets and everything you would need, all in one spot, and they're all like that's 11/16. So when you're done with your 11/16, and it's pretty good sized numbers on the side of it, you can put it back. If it's not in there, you know it's missing. You know to go out to the garage or the basement, wherever you might have left it. We're done with that. Close it up and just put it right over here out of the way so you get workspace. What I did with these is what I do at my house. I cut them out and I put them in foam. Okay?
Oh, yes.
So if your screwdriver is being used, you can see when you come back later on in the evening and go, uh-oh, where did I use the screwdriver? It's missing. You can go find it wherever you were working and then bring it back and replace it. So all of them are that way. Got you a nice big crescent wrench. Some other tools here you can look at later. But each one has its own cutout, so you know exactly where it goes when you're done working on it.
What did you use to cut that out with?
A real sharp razor knife.
Oh.
We got room here to put some other stuff in and all this if you find more that you want to add to it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're
I
welcome.
really appreciate it.
All right, well, we just got back from Dick's house down there. I've got a little bit of a mess to clean up in the garage here from doing the fabrication and for doing the foam cutouts and stuff for the tools. I hope that gave some of you guys some ideas of how I did that. I know videos past, you guys have all asked where I got the foam, how I do it, and all that. So I wanted to do a quick video on setting up foam cutouts, also setting up a little bit of a workstation for Dick down there to get what tools or what minimal tools he'll need to do minor repairs down at his house. If you guys like this video, don't forget, give me that thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you again on the next one.